Welcome back to Conversation with Buddy. I'm your host, Buddy Puckett. Well, it's a sunny day in the winter here in Salem, Oregon, so we're getting a little glimpse of sunshine. And I know it's going to be raining again soon, but we're thankful for today. And it's Friday, so we're happy about that. Today I have a special guest. We had never met each other before, but was referred by a mutual friend. And let me introduce you to Jackie Ellerbrock. Welcome, Jackie.
Well, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. And I've been meaning to meet you personally because we're Facebook friends for a while.
I know.
So
I've got like 5,000 Facebook friends. I probably know 100 of them.
Yeah.
No, I probably know more than that, but you get the point. But yeah, we've been friends for a long time on there. And okay, so you work for the Salem Chamber.
I do.
Yeah. A lady, Bonnie Milletto, referred you and I, connected you and I. And how do you know Bonnie?
So I know Bonnie because I've been following her.
Yeah.
And
she's kind of famous.
She's very famous. And so she was a chamber member. She's a chamber member again. I'm super excited about that.
Okay.
She's actually a keynote speaker coming up. But we've connected and I've shared stories with her. She inspired me to do some public speaking and things like that. She was doing a speaking engagement for the McLaren Foundation, and even though I was aged out, I still went in the guise of helping. Because I wanted to meet her officially.
Right.
And then so we just connected. You know, Bonnie. You meet Bonnie, you're friends for life, right?
For life, yeah.
And so absolutely. So she's come to my office a few times, and we met here and there, and I shared some stories, and she's like, "I have got to get you connected to Buddy."
That's good.
She goes, "Do you know who he is?" I go, "Actually, we're Facebook friends because I've been Facebook stalking him too."
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. Well, it's good to finally meet you. Now, I have a funny story. I met somebody recently, and this person knows you.
Okay.
Really cares about you. Says you're a huge servant. You love our community. And she said that you might know her because she challenged you one day because you're not a morning person.
Correct.
You like a little bit later on, but this lady said, meet me for coffee early in the morning. Who is this lady?
Is this Naomi?
This is Naomi.
Naomi Wiggers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Naomi Wiggers. So
yes.
Well, funny, I don't know Naomi. I mean, I know who she was. Probably like I knew who you were, but I didn't know you. I know her husband, David.
Yeah.
So long story short, figured out that Naomi works at the chamber. I talked with her yesterday and I said, hey, what do you know about Jackie? She goes, okay. And it was funny. It was awesome. So anyway, she loves you.
Oh, that's awesome. I love her. She's actually one of the catalysts that started me going to the chamber and working at the chamber.
Yeah. Because you were at Office Depot.
Office Depot, Office Max. I ran multiple units.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, were Office Depot and Office Max owned by the same people?
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know if I knew that.
Yep. They were owned by the same people. And the reason that the Office Max maintained their name in Office Depot is because they're both well known and it wasn't cost effective to change it to one or the other. So
did not know that.
Yep.
Okay. Well, cool. Well, Jackie, we're going to dive in pretty deep today. We're going to get to know all things about Jackie. And there's some stories I'm going to ask you about. Let's talk about the Green Chair real quick. Before we dive into who you are, tell me about the Green Chair.
Okay.
And Trav Jones.
Trav Jones, yes. So Green Chair, Tom wanted me to move offices. The office that I had was an office with windows, and I loved an office with windows. But I stayed late one night, and you get that feeling sometimes people are looking at you. I turn around, and there's a guy behind me outside, not looking very friendly. So the next day I said, Tom, I am moving. So I moved my office to the middle section of the office and no windows. But I was looking for furniture. And I like to be conservative when it comes to spending money. So I was talking about getting furniture, and one of our past presidents happened to be in the office. And so she said, well, we have some furniture we're getting rid of. You want to come look? So another coworker and I headed over there, and we found 2 chairs and 2 desks. But the chairs are kind of off to the side, and I have bad knees. I need eventually to have my knees replaced, but I'm holding out. But so my coworker and the gal that was there were talking, and so I'm like, can I use one of those chairs to sit down? So I sat down, and I'm like, oh my gosh, these are so comfortable. What are you going to do with them? And they're like, nobody likes them. We're going to throw them away. Can I have them? And then on the way back to the office, I'm like, how am I going to get these 2? 1 desk for Katie, 1 desk for me, and 2 chairs. What am I going to do with them? And they don't match anything I have. but they were comfortable. So I'm telling my friends about the chairs. Matt Miller from Miller's Barbecue. I was telling him about it, and he calls me one day and says, "Are you in the office?" "Yes." "I'm outside with your furniture." "What?" Because I cannot tell him anything. He'll do it, right? So we bring the chairs in, and I took a picture of him. He's all sweaty and dirty, and we've been moving stuff around. And so I took a picture of him, and then we started joking. So I posted it on Facebook, and since I've taken it down because it was not the great picture. I shouldn't have, he challenged me to "You're not going to post that, are you?" And I said, "Okay, here we go." So to continue the story, what happened was people started coming in, and I would just take pictures. And so we considered doing like a podcast, and I didn't really want to do that. And so I said, well, what are we going to call it? We're going to do something with it, but what are we going to do? And so we were going to name it The Chair. But Trav Jones has a podcast named The Chair, and I did not want him upset with me. So then we started kicking names around, and then I said, I need to chronicle the stories of people that are coming to see me because I want to hear them. And then Chronicles, wait a minute. And so somebody said, why don't you call it The Green Chair? And I'm like, well, how about The Green Chair Chronicles? That's how the name started. And people would come and they would sit. They visit the chamber, members, non-members. And I just want another story. So I started taking pictures. And then Tom challenged me, why aren't you branding them? And Kyle Sexton, who's our advisor, said, why aren't you posting them on our Facebook page? I'm like, that's a good idea. So my rule of thumb is if you're a member, I will post you on my social media and our chamber social media. If you're not a member, I will only post you on my social media, but I'll still post you.
Okay.
And of that grew having coffee in the morning with a few people. And now it's a monthly thing. So, and I invite, it's by invitation only.
Yeah.
And I do have a waiting list. And it's about 10 to 12 people on average.
Yeah.
Because I purposely want to keep it small because that gives us time to hear people's stories. So we've had from crying, laughter, and I don't necessarily want to hear about their business.
Yeah.
I do the introduction and then what business do you work for? But like, who are you?
Yeah.
Like, what makes you tick? Not one is the same as the other.
Right.
I don't know what the question is going to be until the people arrive. And then that's when I come up with a question and we go from there.
I love that. And you've been doing it for how long?
2 years. This is going into 3 years. So October this year will be 3 years.
And then how often do you do it?
Every month.
Every month?
Every month.
And you're bringing 10 to 12 people every month?
Absolutely.
How fun is that?
You know what is one of my favorite things?
Yeah.
One, because it wasn't a chamber event, and now it is.
Right.
And two, just the connections.
Yeah, yeah.
That's.
I think you and I are wired similarly. I love this. I do this because I actually enjoy people. I want to hear your story. I love coffee too, so
there you go.
It's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jackie, we're going to dive in. We're going to start at the very beginning because we want to know who Jackie is. We want people to not just know you, oh, you work for the chamber, but who is Jackie?
Okay.
Right? So take us back. I know you're a Capitals fan.
I am.
But take us back. Where were you born? Tell us about your parents.
Okay. So I was born in Nicaragua, Central America.
Yeah.
English is my second language. I'm fluent. My parents were very strict growing up, but they taught us to be good people. That was our job. Our job was go to school, get good grades, and be good people.
Yeah.
And, we're Jewish, and they did not, I'm not Orthodox. In fact, it's interesting. And I listened to Keith Green. One of my favorite songs is Make My Life a Prayer to You. And my second favorite is Amy Grant's Jehovah. I just absolutely love those songs. And those are songs that inspire me, and I often listen to them. But they just wanted us to make a difference in the world and be good people. And they were married. I grew up with both parents until my father passed away from cancer. But they were just great role models and really just provided for us. We never knew that we needed anything because it was given to us. And the thing about my dad was, and I have carried this tradition, is he didn't give us birthday presents. He didn't give us Hanukkah presents. He didn't give us any of those things.
Yeah.
If you liked something and he saw that you liked it, he'd give it to you. And as I was growing up, I was like, because mom did the traditional birthdays and holidays. But I asked my dad, why don't we get a birthday present? And what he said to me has been profound, and I've carried it with me. He said, if I wait for your birthday, what if I'm not there? What if you're not there?
Yeah.
But I want you to enjoy it now because I know you like it now. So
what a cool dad.
Absolutely. So I grew up with that. And so when I see things for my friends, I don't necessarily gift you something on your birthday.
Yeah.
But if I know that you like something or something compels me, like, this is something I want to gift, I just do it. I don't wait for a specific date. And I've carried that from both of them and specifically my dad.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Little life. Okay, you said your dad passed away.
Yeah.
How old were you when he passed away?
I was in my 20s. I was in my
Okay.
20s when he passed away.
Okay.
He passed away 4 years after my brother. He was diagnosed with cancer. He didn't tell us.
He didn't tell you.
He did not. He didn't want to. Once it was obvious that he was sick, I sat with him and talked to him. He didn't want to burden us with medical bills. He didn't want to burden us with a lot of things. But in my heart, I feel like losing his son, he gave up. He gave up and didn't realize, you had 3 other kids, right?
Right.
But and then the night that he passed, my mom and I had spoken, and I told her he needs to have permission. And so she said, we love you. We're going to be okay, and it's okay. And when she said that, he took a deep breath, and then that was that. He went to be with my brother.
Yeah, savvy. Okay, tell me about your mom and then also your siblings too. Yeah.
So I'm the oldest of 4.
Okay.
And I'm super close to my mom.
Yeah.
When I was
Does
about...
she still live in Nicaragua?
No, she actually lives with me.
She lives with you?
She moved in with me.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so and it's kind of interesting because,
growing
up, parents, my house, my rules.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Mom, but my house, my rules.
My house, my rules.
But so she's my hero. She just was a pioneer in our family. She was a stay-at-home mom quite a bit because my dad was very traditional.
Yeah.
And but when I was about 4 or so, I remember vividly going to my parents and asking for a brother. And
you did.
I did. I told them I want a brother, and they're like, okay. So fast forward, Mom's pregnant. And then right before due date or close to due date, they sit me down and say, what if it's a girl? Because I specifically asked for a brother.
Yeah.
And I said, no, it's going to be a boy.
It's going to be a boy.
And they're like, well, okay, there's a chance that it might be a girl. And they're like, no. And I said, no, it's going to be a boy. And I was very adamant. So they're like, there's a chance. I said, absolutely. And I knew in my heart that it was going to be a boy. And then my brother was born. So 5.5 years older than him.
That's funny.
And but we were like two peas in a pod.
Yeah.
We were like twins. We did everything together. And then the 2 little sisters came along. I have 2 younger sisters, and my brother and my sisters all have very traditional Jewish names.
Yeah.
Except for me.
Except for you.
I have Jackie, and that's my legal name.
What was your brother's name?
Moshe.
What's your sister's names?
Sharon and Ruth.
Okay.
So Sharon, Sharon.
Yeah.
And Ruth, and Moshe for Moshe Dayan.
Yeah.
From Israel.
That's so cool.
It is. And for a while I was jealous, like, wait a minute.
What about me? How did you get the name Jackie then, which is not a Jewish name apparently?
Not a very traditional Jewish name, right? But the reason why is because my mom liked Jackie O.
Okay.
And so I was named after Jackie O.
Okay, Mom won.
Mom won.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
Now, we'll get to your brother in a moment, but where do your sisters live?
My sisters live in Orange County.
Okay.
And so they
moved north also, just not as far north.
Correct. Yeah. I have 2. I have a niece, and she's autistic.
Okay.
And then I have 3 nephews that are amazing. Wow. And my youngest sister's oldest son is named after our brother.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about your brother. I know we'll eventually get to it, but the one that you wanted, Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
I want a brother.
Yeah.
And his name was again?
Moshe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened to him?
So we did everything together.
Yeah.
We were always hanging out. So when I moved out, we had plans that eventually he would move out with me.
Yeah.
And it turned out he wanted to be a police officer. So he was waiting to graduate. He was coming up graduation. He graduated. He was making plans to move. And the night that he passed, that night, he called me because he was supposed to be at my house. And when he called me, I said, hey, I have a friend over, but you can still come over. And he said, well, since you have a friend over, you guys spend time together. I'll do something else. And that night at 3 a.m, he was killed by a drunk driver. And I of course, had survivor's guilt for multiple reasons. But one was that phone call when had I not had that friend in my house, what could have happened? But I've learned through the years and through life, like, there's nothing I could have done differently.
Yeah.
There's nothing I could have done differently.
He was 20?
He was 18.
Oh, he's 18.
18.
So you're 5 years older?
5.5.
23,
yep.
24. Yep. That's tough. Yeah. How did you, I mean, you were probably the closest sibling to him.
Yeah.
Obviously, mom and dad are struggling.
Yeah.
How did you guys work through that as a family?
So, then the morning that he passed, it was about around the time that he passed, I woke up and I felt like I was having a heart attack. And I was just agitated and I was pacing. I got up and then I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what it was. And so I prayed and I laid back down and eventually fell asleep. At 8:00 the next morning, the phone rang. You know, the corded phone that was attached to the walls at the time. The phone rang. And when I picked it up, it was my mom on the other phone. And when I heard her voice, my words were, "What time did it happen?" And she was shocked. She said, "The police officer just left. How did you know?" And so I think that he came to visit me. And that's how I knew.
Yeah.
So we were super close. It impacted, because I was the oldest, I felt like, all right, I got to take charge.
Yeah.
And so for a good year, I didn't cry. I just kind of thought, okay, I got to keep it together for the family.
Yeah.
And, you know, we were advised to seek counseling, and I didn't do it because to me that was a weakness, and I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And so, ironically enough, when tragedy happens, people turn away from God.
Yeah.
And I turned to God.
You did?
I did. I turned to God, and I said, I don't know what this means, but I can't do this alone, and I need help. And almost a year to the day that my brother passed, I was at a grocery store and this song came on and I lost it. And that's when everything that happened within that last year just came to a head. And then I went to my car and sat down and went, okay, regroup. What's going on? And that's when there's a good span of about 15 years that there's no pictures of me on purpose, because when we would take pictures, I'm aging and he's not. And so it's been within the last probably, actually since I started working at the chamber, that I've changed that thought process. But it was extremely difficult on my mom. She turned away from God and didn't want to hear about anything. And, you know, and she went through a lot. Now I understand it to possibly be depression. And I had to tell her, you got 3 other kids. You need to step back into life. She
probably needed to hear that too.
I think she did.
Yeah.
I think she did.
Well, it's not like she wanted to be depressed. I mean, she's maybe angry with God. You know, it's not necessarily God's fault.
Right.
It happened, and we got to blame somebody.
Right.
And, but yeah, she has 3 other kids that are waiting for her to respond.
Yep. So she came back to us. Yeah. And then, you know, within that 4-year span, Dad got sick. And I kind of started noticing, like, you know, he was a big guy. Yeah. And he wasn't feeling well. And I didn't live with them, so I would see it more than my brother, my mom and my sisters that lived with him. And I'm like, Dad, are you okay? And he's like, I'm fine. And then by the time we found out, it was just too late. He did have surgery. And when he went into surgery, the doctors said it's spread. There's nothing we can do. Right. So, and I think that was a choice that he made for us. I think it was in his mind a selfless choice that he made for us. But I truly do believe that his thought was, I'm ready to go and be with my son. Yeah. Yep.
It's tough, man. I don't know. I don't know how we're going to handle that when it comes to dying. You know, my mom passed away about 12 years ago. And so I remember being with her and what she went through, and it's tough, man. Yeah. Walk me back through. I want to know a little bit about your early years, you know, before maybe high school. Tell me about high school. Did you do sports? And then I want you to lead into how you got to Oregon.
Okay. So I loved high school.
You did?
I was a good student. And funny thing, my brother and I went to, you know, of course I'm older, so I was ahead of him. He changed high schools when he got to high schools because he got tired of being Jackie's little brother. And so he wanted to go to a school where he was Moshe. Yeah. But I loved school. I was studious. I goofed around a lot, but I had good grades. I did play sports. I play volleyball, even though I'm vertically challenged. But I played volleyball. I had a good serve. I figured if I'm going to do something, I'm going to be really good at it. So I was a good server. And so that's how we got a lot of our scoring and so forth.
Yeah.
But my brother and I were a lot into sports. And at the time, the LA Dodgers. So I could tell you at the time all the stats for Steve Garvey, Ron Say, Davey Lopez, all those guys. And then the heartbreak at the moment was when Steve Garvey went to San Diego to play for the San Diego Padres. And my brother was just, beside himself.
Yeah.
So we watched the LA Lakers. So, and again, I could tell you all the stats.
Yeah.
When my brother passed, which is why the Capitals are important to me now. When my brother passed, everything stopped for me. I didn't do any sports. I didn't want to watch him. I didn't want to have anything to do with it because it was too raw at the time. And so I went on to continue schooling, and I love to travel. So I traveled quite a bit. I've been to Oregon because of my work. I went into retail as my accidental retail career. I was working at the chancellor's office for Pasadena City College, and I did not want to have another job. I really liked what I was doing, but I was walking home. I used to like to walk everywhere, and I was walking home, and I see this sign that says we're hiring. And I'm like, okay. And I kept seeing this sign and like almost calling to me, right? And so I go and I talk to this guy and we're talking and I'm like, I just want to know what it is. Like, what are you hiring for? So he and I have a conversation, and as I'm walking away, he says, so when you start tomorrow, by the way. And I'm like, no. And I left, and then I came back and I worked for that company for 11 years.
No way.
I started my retail career. And so I loved retail. I ended up being in retail for almost 30 years. So I loved retail. It was, at the time, it was Hobby Shack, which has gone out of business since, but I also Hobby Global Distributors. And I learned how to do remote control aircraft and remote control cars and a lot of cool stuff. And I was the only woman that was a manager in their store. So I had a lot of older gentlemen coming in wanting to talk to the manager or wanting to talk to my employees and asking questions. And then they would say, actually, you need to talk to her because we don't know. Yeah. So I always enjoy that.
Yeah, I bet you did. Yeah,
I did. So then I was with them for 11 years. And I was happy there. I was a manager and I did training and I visited all the stores and I did quite a bit for them. And a friend of mine that worked for us at the time left and went to work for Babies R Us. At the time, Babies R Us was new. They only had 88 stores. And so one of the recruiters called me and said, hey, somebody recommended you. And I was like, I know Toys R Us, but what is Babies R Us? I don't have any kids. And that's on purpose. I remember 5 years old telling my mom, I do not want to have kids.
No kids.
And being the oldest, I kind of had 3 kids, right? I helped raise my siblings.
That was good enough.
Yeah, that was absolutely. And now I have nieces and nephews, and that's perfect. So I went and met with the gal at Babies R Us, and I was very upfront. I called her and I said, I don't want to waste your time. So if you have candidates to interview, great. But I'm kind of curious what Babies R Us is. So if you're in town, I'd love to meet you. So she invited me to a store. And I went down and I walked around and I'm like, there's no way I could work here. Like, I don't like kids. I don't have kids. I don't know anything about breast pumps and car seats and all that stuff, right? So I said, I appreciate the consideration, but this isn't for me. But thank you for your time. So her and I ended up becoming friends. And so I go back to work. And so I tell my boss at the time, did you know what Babies R Us is? And for me, it was telling him, like, did you know this thing exists? He took it as like, what do you mean Babies R Us? So a couple of weeks later go by and he calls me, and I had been a training manager for them for about 2 years before I moved to a different role. And I worked at the corporate store. And so he says, can you train a manager for me? And I said, yeah, I can do that. And so I'm training this fella and he and I become friends. Our training program was about 4 weeks and we're about 2 weeks into this training. And I took him to lunch just to catch up, and what questions you have, And he says, well, I'm your replacement. And I'm like, what? What do you mean you're my replacement? And so, they're concerned that you're leaving and they want to, strike first before you leave. And I thought, oh, Okay. So I went home and thought about it and like, how do I approach this? My boss at the time was the vice president of the company. He and I met when he was an assistant manager for the company. He moved his way up. And I really struggled because, like, you're my friend. You could have come to me and you didn't. And I had no intentions of leaving. So I made an appointment to go see him at his office, and he didn't want to talk to me. The next day he comes to my store, and it was not a good visit, even though I've had great visits before, but nothing had changed other than maybe he thought I was leaving. So I confronted him and I said, you think I'm leaving and I'm training my replacement. Am I leaving? And so he's like, well, that's your choice. And so I said, okay, you're right. It is my choice. And I departed.
You did? Okay.
I did. And so I'm driving home thinking, I don't have a job. I have a house or an apartment at the time.
Yeah.
And, oh boy, what am I going to do? And I just turned a potential opportunity away. So I get home and there's a voicemail on my phone because there were not cool cell phones at the time.
Yeah.
So there's a voicemail on my phone and it says, hey, if you're interested at all ever, give us a call back and we'd love to talk to you. We have 88 locations and we need managers in several locations. And so I talked to my friend that lived here in Oregon and I had visited a few times and I loved it here.
Yeah.
And so I said, I don't have a job. I don't know what I'm going to do. And she's like, well, move here. You have a place here.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, I don't have did you not hear the part I don't have a job? And she's like, come over here. So I ended up moving in with her and her mom.
Yeah.
And she's my best friend. We've been best friends, we're going to be friends cradle to grave, I guess. Yeah. And so I ended up making the decision. And so my youngest sister ended up taking over my apartment that I had because she lived with me for a few months at that time. And so, and I had good savings. And in California, the beauty of it is you don't lose vacation if you don't use it. They have to pay you out.
Sweet.
And I had worked for them for 11 years.
Yeah.
And only taken one vacation.
Are you kidding?
No. So I had a pretty good nest egg.
Yeah.
And so I contacted their office and they said they would give me my check because I was worried, like, are they going to fight me on that or not? And they didn't. They actually tried to get me to come back. But, when I make a decision, I'm pretty stubborn, like my mom.
Yeah.
So I bought plane tickets and I told my sister I can pay half the rent till you figure out, so you have a good year. Mm-hmm. I moved, I made plans to move here. So I bought airline tickets and all that jazz and started packing. And then I thought, oh, wait, babies are us. So I called back and I say, hey, thank you again for the opportunity, but I'm actually going to be leaving the state. So they say, well, where are you leaving? And I said, well, Oregon. And they're like, okay, well, whereabouts? I'm like, Oregon City. I wasn't really sure, right?
Yeah.
Geographically, I wasn't 100% on it. So she says, okay, well, thank you for letting us know. Not joking, 30 minutes later, my phone rings and I pick it up and it is a fellow named Tom. Every boss that I've had has been named Tom.
Tom.
Yeah.
Tom Hofer. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, at the time, Tom Stallings.
Yeah. Tom Stallings. Okay.
He's the district manager for Babies R Us in Oregon.
Right.
And he says, we have a job for you in Clackamas.
Right.
And I'm like, can I get back to you? Because I need to know where Oregon City to Clackamas is. So I look it up and everything, and I called him back and I said, okay, let's have a conversation. I fly in and I give him the date. So I moved here in April. And so in 1999 is when I moved here.
Okay.
So I met with him, I think a week after I had arrived. And so they offered me a job and my start date was going to be July 4th.
Okay.
Well, I had another good friend that used to work for me in California at the hobby place that had moved to Eugene. And so we had made plans to visit and it was the same week. So I'm like, oh no, I have a job pending, but I want to see my friend. And I thought, Lord, can you lead me? And what should I say?
Yeah.
And I called with the intent to tell my friend, I'm not going to visit you.
Yeah.
But then I thought, I want to see my friend.
Yeah.
So I called Tom back and I said, I can take the job, but I can't start on that week. If that's a non-negotiable, maybe we can have a different conversation. He goes, no, we'll wait for you. And I thought, Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
I love it.
So I ended up being with them 11 years. So I was
Okay.
with Babies R Us for 11 years. Loved Babies R Us.
Isn't that crazy how you thought there's no way and
Yep.
then it worked out?
Absolutely. So when I started, they had 88 stores. When I departed, they had close to 1,500.
And they're still going, right?
No, they went out of business a few years back. They went out of business about 10 years after I left.
Were they part of like Toys R Us? Or is that
Yeah.
the same company?
It's the same company, same corporate office, but different divisions.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was funny when we had corporate meetings and we saw the Toys R Us people were like, you guys don't know what retail is. You guys have it easy. And we're like, oh, you don't know what retail is in the baby world.
Right. You have it easy.
And then when they merge officially, then they brought in Babies R Us, Kids R Us, Toys R Us. And that's kind of when they started diluting the brand. And a lot of changes were happening.
Yeah.
The boss that I had that I absolutely loved ended up departing. And she was kind of one of the reasons I thought, well, maybe it's time.
Yeah.
When I gave him my notice to leave, they offered me more money and they offered to, what can I do? So I had a set date to depart and I ended up staying another week because the manager they had hired to replace me couldn't make it within the time frame they had.
Yeah.
And I really stayed for my team. And to this day, a lot of my friends are those folks that used to work for me at Babies R Us. In fact, my best friend, Kelly, she was my assistant manager. And we had to lay her off. And Babies R Us had really strict rules where you couldn't be friends with, it was manager to manager or assistant to assistant.
Wow.
A manager couldn't be friends with an assistant manager because they were worried about,
Crazy.
whatever. And so 2 weeks after she was laid off, she called me and said, you're not my boss anymore. Can we hang out? And
Yeah.
we've been best friends ever since.
No kidding.
Yeah. And the reason why she was laid off is they were wanting to do things that I did not align with. So my job, what they envisioned was, let's say you had a location, but they were going to downsize. So my job was to talk you into taking a lower paying position
Yeah.
and telling you everything was going to be okay. And then in 3 months, they're going to lay you off at the lower pay. And I could not
Are
align
you
with that.
kidding?
And I said, that's not even a thing I can even think about doing. So when I didn't even know my assistant Kelly was going to be laid off until she was on vacation.
Right.
And she was coming back from vacation that day. And my boss walks in and that's when I find out. And she's walking in and we had little flip phones at the time. So I'm trying to call her discreetly. So when she came in, I said, they're going to make you an offer. Don't take it. And trust me.
Yeah.
And she did. She trusted me.
Okay.
Because, I couldn't give her the why, but she trusted me.
Wow, that's
and
heavy.
yeah,
Trust goes a long ways, doesn't it? I mean,
Yes.
that's a friendship right there.
absolutely.
Hey, I want to hear a little bit about your faith journey. You mentioned you're Jewish, right? And tell me about your faith journey. I know God's like, somehow you knew God when you're like 5, or just talk through your journey of faith. I want to know about that.
Yeah, I think I've always, known my parents were so good about being open to as long as we were good people and not doing anything bad, they were supportive. And my mom for a while was worried because when I was young, she said I had imaginary friends. I was talking to God. I was. And I didn't recognize that then, but I recognized it as I've grown up. I pray every morning before I leave. I pray every night before I go to bed. And I pray for my friends and my family. And God has guided me. I don't believe in coincidence. Everything that has happened has been a reason why. And that's why when my brother passed, I didn't turn away. I turned to him because I said, okay, what's the lesson here? Obviously, I'm alive for a reason. I was spared for a reason. So what does that look like? So it's interesting because growing up and my brother, his headstone is at his grave is the Star of David. And so that's why it's super important to me to continue that, wearing my Star of David. I'm not wearing it today.
Yeah.
But I do wear it in honor, and it's a big piece of what connects me to him. But I do know that there's a higher power, and I do know that we're not alone, and I do know that I have not struggled in vain, and I do know that when I struggle, I'm not alone.
Amen.
I'm not alone.
Amen.
And so the moments where I felt the lowest, after I left Babies R Us, I worked for Big Lots and I was with them for 7 years. And
Not 11.
No, not 11, 7 years. Almost 8, about 7.5 years.
Yeah.
And I was struggling with the boss that I had.
Yeah.
And a lot of things were coming my way. And I was just really frustrated. And I remember driving home one day and saying, okay, God, why have you forsaken me?
Yeah.
And then I thought, I'm sorry I said that.
Yeah, he has not forsaken us.
I realized that. I said, I'm sorry I said that.
Yeah.
You have not. And so my faith is very important. And I don't name it like I'm Jewish and I grew up Jewish and it's primarily for my brother.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I know there's a higher power.
Yeah.
I know there's a higher calling.
Yeah.
And I have a responsibility to answer to that because I grew up with both parents.
Yeah.
I grew up with not worrying about where my next meal was coming from. I grew up with, I'm not going to say entitled, but I had a lot of privilege. I went to a private school when I was growing up. I've had a lot of luxuries in my life. And that has grounded me because God was watching over for me.
Yeah, yeah.
The one song that Amy Grant has, about angels watching over me and a car ran out of gas before I ran my way. I truly believe that. I truly believe that. I've seen it so many times in my life. And even with my brother, the one thing that I'm extremely thankful for, and a lot of people question me that you're thankful for this. When the accident occurred, he died on impact. And why I'm grateful for that is because he didn't have to suffer.
Yeah.
And so for a long time, I'm like, did he suffer? Did he not suffer? God would not let him suffer.
Yeah.
And I know that. And so that's super important. And so I love Amy Grant. I listen to all her songs. Grant, Amy Grant is my jam.
That's awesome.
Keith Green. My favorite song is Make My Life a Prayer to You. When he passed away, how I got introduced to Keith Green was through a friend.
Yeah.
She was a pastor's kid.
Yeah.
So she would share stories and whatnot. And so she's sharing about Keith Green. I listened to that song, and that song, oh my gosh, that is so powerful. I actually went to his memorial service because my friend and her dad being a pastor.
Yeah.
We all went, and when the opportunity came, she said, I know that you really enjoy his music. Do you want to go? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I didn't go because, oh my gosh, I'm going to go I went because I felt called to go. And I saw all the people and, the grief that they were going through, but they're rejoicing in prayer.
Yeah.
And so that struck a chord to me. And I have carried that. So I'm not a good singer. Nobody ever wants to hear me sing.
Hey, we're all good singing in the shower, aren't we?
But I was going to say, but in my car, I have Keith Green concerts with Make My Life a Prayer to You and Amy Grant. And
it's funny. I'm gonna dive into Keith Green and Amy Grant and listen to the songs. I remember you were talking about you were in a store and you heard a song. Was that when your brother passed away?
Yeah.
What was that song? Was it Keith Green?
I don't even remember what the song was.
But it hit you.
But it hit me.
Okay.
It hit me. My brother used to like Wilson Phillips. Wilson Phillips was like his favorite band, and of course, he's a young kid and Pretty
My
Girls.
wife loved Wilson Phillips.
So it was probably a Wilson Phillips song, but he absolutely loved them. And I don't recall the song, but I remember the moment.
Yeah, and it's funny how a music or anything can take you back to that moment where you remember how you felt.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I kind of grew up. My dad was, a big tough guy.
Oh, yeah.
And so we kind of grew up with you don't show weakness, crying is a weakness. So it was a long time for me.
I'll give you something to cry about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's a classic dad line.
Absolutely.
I'm sure I grew up with that too. Yeah.
And how I got turned into Amy Grant was my friend that was the pastor's kid. Her name was Debbie.
Yeah.
She was listening to music. And so we went to a YouTube concert. And on the way there, she was talking about Amy Grant. I'm like, who's Amy Grant?
Who's the guy?
And so I started listening to it. My Father's Eyes, one of my favorite songs.
Wow.
So some of my friends that don't know me as well are like, wait, you're Jewish, but you like Christian music.
Yeah.
What is that about?
Yeah. Tell me about that.
Well, for me, because of what my parents instilled in us, going back to just be a good person and do good in the world.
Right.
I don't see those boundaries of, you can't listen to Christian music because you're Jewish. You can't do this. You can't do that. To me, we all are going to answer to a higher power, right?
We are.
And when I meet him, he's going to be Jewish. When somebody else meets him, he's going to be Christian. He's going to be, he's everything to all people, right?
Okay.
And that's how I feel about it. And that's why I love those songs, and they mean a lot to me. Yeah. Do I believe in Jesus? That's a great question. I don't know.
I'm glad you asked, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I think I do.
Okay. I like that.
I know that there's a Messiah, right? That's in a Jewish faith. We're waiting for our Messiah.
Yeah.
But God has shown himself to me so many times.
Yeah.
I have no doubt. So is for me, is he called Jesus to me? I don't know. To me, he's Jehovah.
He's Jehovah, yeah.
Yeah. And, my friends, when they pray, I pray with them. When they say amen, I say amen with them. Yeah. Because I have that belief. And
you believe, it sounds to me like.
Absolutely.
That somebody took your place for your sin or my sin.
Yeah.
And paid that price. Because we're not out taking our little sheep to the slaughter, to the sacrifice. We don't do that anymore.
Right.
So how do you worship weekly? Do you go to a church or?
I went to a non-denominational church for a while when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And I kind of, tried different things.
Yeah.
I don't now. Marcia Lancaster, who's also Jewish, she's invited me to synagogue several times.
Right.
We didn't really grow up Orthodox. To me, it's more personal.
Yeah.
I rather pray in my car. And I have gone to a few churches here and there when I've been invited.
Right.
But to me, it's like a one-on-one.
Gotcha.
It's like, it's my time to, like I said, I pray on the way to work.
Yeah.
I pray before I go to sleep. And it's a conversation to me more than anything.
Yeah. That's good. How do you, like you look at the Bible, you have the Old Testament and the New Testament. Do you ever, would you know the Old Testament, like the Pentateuch, the Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy? Is that something that rings a bell to you?
It does. So I actually have a Bible.
Yeah, okay.
That a friend gave to me when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And it's been highlighted, and it doesn't have a cover anymore.
Okay.
It's a little pocket Bible.
Yeah.
And sometimes I get called to open it.
Yeah.
And read a passage. And I don't remember, if it's Ephesians or
so you're
Revelations.
The New Testament? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it is New Testament.
Yeah.
I don't know all that, but when I feel called to do it, it's by my nightstand.
You're obedient to do it.
I do it. I do it because I feel like that's God talking to me.
Man.
So I do it, yeah.
Well, interesting. I grew up, I would call it a Christian family. We went to church on Christmas and Easter, but I didn't know what that meant, And so I was 28 and just some things going on in my life. God was at work. I wasn't paying attention. And a couple of my buddies I worked with, like, you want to join the Bible study? I'm like, okay. Never read the Bible before. I knew nothing. No, nothing. Not one Bible verse. And so I remember some of those, learning those verses, that Jesus being the Messiah. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father except through me. That was Jesus saying, God sent his son to pay the price for us and live an example for us. And so I just, at some point in time, I believed that Jesus was the Messiah. And I think if he is, and I do believe that, but for you, if he is, he's calling you, right? He is. That Bible is just calling your name, and his word is there. It's alive and active and sharper than a double-edged sword. So it's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. When my friend gave it to me, it was funny. She said, I have a gift for you, and I know that you'll want it. And I'm like, the way I see it is, if somebody thought enough of me to give me a gift, I'm going to accept it with grace. And so when she showed it to me, I'm like, oh, it's a Bible. She's like, it is. Are you okay with that? I go, absolutely. Thank you. And I put it in, it's a pocket Bible. And I put it in my pocket and I took it home and I went through it that night. And then I made a promise to my friend that I would always keep it with me. And it's, like I said, it at some point lost the cover because I have probably read it cover to cover multiple times.
You have?
I have.
Do you have like a verse that you like that stands out?
Not really. For me, it's different. For me, it's sometimes I'm at work and something pops in my head. And when I go home, I open it and it's that.
No way.
It's that. Okay. Yeah. Going back to when my brother passed away, when I woke up, I knew that was him visiting me. And I knew God granted me that. I knew that he knew I was going to have survivor's guilt. And that was his way of saying, he's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a real, survivor's guilt happens a lot of guys who, I heard a guy was in Vietnam and comes back and his buddy gets blown away and he's alive and survivor's guilt. How do you deal with that?
I didn't for a year, right?
Okay. Oh, sorry. You just kind of
I kind of tuned it out. I dove into work. Ironically, the day that we buried my brother was the day that I got promoted to a manager position. And I drove, that's why I only had taken one vacation in 11 years.
Wow.
I worked 6 days a week,
right.
18-hour days, keep my mind busy. And then you can't sustain that. Even though when you're young, you think you can, you can't. And the moment that I heard that song, that's when I had to start to, okay, what am I doing? He's not here anymore and I'm not honoring his life. I am wasting my life that I've been given and he's not here to do good in the world.
Yeah.
So what's my path? So I went home and I prayed and I asked for guidance. And one thing about my brother, and I talked to Dana about this, was at his funeral, we found out that he had a servant heart. At his funeral, we found out that he had been volunteering at homeless shelters and food kitchens.
I love this guy.
Yeah, we did not know anything about that. And there were so many people at his funeral that there were people outside. It was packed. It was a packed house. And we're at, I knew he had a lot of friends. I knew he was popular, but it was an eye opener. And so that year goes by and I remember the people telling me the stories of the things that he did. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, now it's my turn.
So you're carrying on the torch that he lit.
Absolutely.
That's so cool. That is your why.
He is my why. And there's kind of a cross of roads in a sense, because he is my why I do it, but I also do it for me because I need my life to have meaning to honor his. Yep.
We need meaning. Yeah.
Yep.
No, I agree. I agree. That's beautiful. Hey, let's talk about the Salem Chamber.
Yeah.
You worked at Office Depot, Office Max.
Yeah.
How'd you get to the Salem Chamber? Did Naomi recruit you?
Kind of. So I was a chamber member. I became a chamber member.
That's right. She said she kept hounding you, and
she did.
Finally became a member.
I finally became a member. Yeah. Naomi's amazing. She's a dear friend. And so when I moved to Salem, we drove by the chamber office, and I said, one day I'm going to work there.
Yeah.
And okay, like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
What is a chamber? So I got recruited from Big Lot to come work at Office Depot, and I had a pretty good run there, 4 years, pretty successful. My boss ended up getting COVID.
Oh.
And I've had it 3 times. So, but he ended up getting COVID, and while he let me reverse. So he ended up getting COVID. He was out.
Yeah.
And then when he comes back, I ended up getting COVID. And so I'm out. So when I'm out on COVID, he gets terminated. And unknown reasons. Yeah. But he gets terminated. And so I get a new boss. And I've never met this gentleman ever. To this day, I've never met him. He was from Idaho, and he was tasked to kind of oversee the district that my boss had I was overseeing before. And so I ended up getting phone calls and Zoom calls, and I was, we had a surprise visit from our regional vice president. Everything went great. We were one of the showcase stores. We were doing great. All my metrics were good. But this fella kept like, I don't think you're in your stores. We'll have multiple units. Okay, so I started doing selfies and sending to him, or call this location. This is where I'm at. And I started talking to my peer group and saying, oh my gosh, when do you guys have time to talk on Zoom calls at 7:30, at 2 o'clock when we're super busy, things like that. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I said, what do you mean, what am I talking about? I'm required to have all these calls. And what I was told was that all managers are required to have these calls, right? So then I started diving a little more deeper into it. Like, so why am I the only one on these calls? And so we did blood drives. We did a lot of community events. We did toy drives. And we always volunteered for whatever needed to happen. When the fires happened, we donated pallets of water. We didn't advertise it because what I taught my team was you do things because it's the right thing to do, not because the camera is going to be there. Did we advertise some of it? Absolutely. But did we advertise all of it? No, because then we weren't doing it for the right reason.
Yeah.
And he called me out on it.
I love it.
He wanted me to cancel blood drives. He said that I was not enough in my stores, that I was too much in the community. And I said, what are you talking about? The community is the reason we survived COVID. We had the best year out of every store. I called the chamber and I said, I need some love. We're struggling and I don't want to lay people off.
Yeah.
And they came and bought laptops and desks and all the things that were needed at the time. And so I struggled with this gentleman and he said that I needed to step down. My choice was either stop community involvement and be fine, or I need to step down. So I went home and prayed about it.
Yeah.
And I said, what's the right thing to do? And I didn't really know. I knew something was out there better for me, but I didn't know what it was because I love retail. Like I said, I was in retail almost 30 years.
Yeah.
I'd only been...
You're 29 and you've been doing it for 30 years. That's weird.
Yeah, I know, right? Right? I thought, what am I going to do? Yeah. Where am I going to go? But then I thought, on the drive there, I thought, it's out of my control. I'm not going to worry about it. Yeah. So I had talked to Naomi because we were good friends. And I had said, I'm not sure where this is going. I don't know if I'm going to be at Office Depot very long. I'm seeing the writing on the wall, but I'm not really worried. I just don't know what I'm going to do. So that afternoon, it was Thursday afternoon. I was supposed to be at another store, but I ended up being at the Lancaster store. And he calls me and wants a decision. Are you stepping down or are you not?
Yeah.
And I said, give me 10 minutes to think about it. And I prayed.
Yeah.
And I called him back and I said, you're absolutely right. I am stepping down from Office Depot.
Boom.
And so I called my team. And Nolan was a young man that worked for me. He said that he worked for me in that Office Depot. He was the closing manager that day. And my opening manager, I went to her and she had vacation coming up. And I said, before I tell you what I'm about to tell you, promise me you're going to take your vacation. Because I know what happens when a manager leaves, your vacation gets canceled.
Right.
You're not available. You have vacation. And so I made her promise me and she said, okay. And I said, okay. And I put my keys down and I started crying because I love my team. Yeah. Right. So when I leave, I call Nolan and I say, hey, this happened. That night he calls me back and says, I've also given my resignation. Oh. I did all the schedules for all the stores. I called all the management teams. I called everybody, gave them a heads up. And so we're following you. A lot of the team members followed me, which I didn't really want. I didn't want them, the company or them. Nolan had just gotten an apartment.
Right.
But where the chamber comes in is Naomi calls me and kind of before this actually happened and says, I talked to Tom about you and you need to have a conversation. And I'm like, okay, what about? And she's like, well, I'm not sure. And so Christy Pippert, who was also worked, she was the director of operations at the time. Her and I had conversations about it. And she did the accounting and all that stuff, right? And I don't know that director of operations is the thing for me because I don't like numbers. I don't like math. So I don't know where it's going to go. So it's still kind of up in the air. But in my heart, I know I'm going to be okay. I had just refinanced my house. Yeah. I had just paid my car off. I had a good savings plan. Yeah. And not a lot of people can say that.
That's right.
So I was, if I don't have a job right away, I'll be okay. But I do really need a job, right? I have a house payment and other things. Or my mortgage payment was lower, but I still had a mortgage payment. Yeah. So the day that it kind of started culminating into this isn't for me anymore, and now I'm on a time budget here that I probably need to think something differently. Naomi says, hey, call Tom. And I was like, okay. Mm-hmm. And I thought, why am I calling Tom? I didn't connect the dots. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So I am at Graders. Before Graders, this happens. This happened on a Thursday. I call Naomi and I say, and we've had conversations with Tom on and off a little bit, but nothing serious. We kind of like what ifs, but nothing serious. So the day before Greeters is when this happened. So I called Naomi and I said, I'm the vice chair for Greeters. and I no longer work for Office Depot. I'll tell you the story when I see you, but can I still come? Can we work something out? I'm like, can I volunteer? Because my loss to me was my chamber family and my store team, not necessarily Office Depot, right? So then she goes, come to greeters and just do your thing. So I'm the vice chair, and I do my introduction, and Stephanie Bob was the chair. And Stephanie doesn't always pay attention. I love her dearly, but she doesn't always pay attention. So I didn't want to tell her.
Yeah.
I wanted to tell her after the fact. So my introduction was, my name is Jackie, and I'm a proud chamber ambassador. And she says, wait a second, you forgot your job. And I said, well, a great man once said, free at last, free at last. Half the room went, what? And the other half went, yes. So greeters ends, and Pastor Leon, who was our ambassador at the time, he's since moved to Colorado, but he and Matt Miller came to me and said, can we pray with you? And I said, absolutely, thank you.
Yeah.
So we waited for everybody to leave, and we sat together and we prayed. And then at the end of the prayer, Pastor Leon says to me, well, you know what this means? And I was like, not really. I'm still not connecting the dots. So he says, you're going to be okay. And I said, I know in my heart I'm going to be okay. I'm walking to my car and my cell phone rings, and it's Tom Hoffert. And he goes, hey, Jackie, this is Tom Hoffert. And I said, I know. We have caller ID.
Yeah.
And I say, yes, Tom. He goes, you were supposed to call me. Yes, sir, I was.
Yeah.
And he goes, hey, do you have time to meet next week? Actually, I have plenty of time to meet next week. Absolutely. Yeah. So we made an appointment. And I didn't know that they had a big meeting that morning. And I always try to get there early. So I get there, and the parking lot is full, and there's no place to park. So I parked by Broadway Commons and walked to the chamber. Yeah. And I was still early, but not as early as I would like to be. So I walk in, and I'm like, I'm here to see Tom. So I wait in the lobby for a few minutes. So then we end up in the boardroom, and we're talking. And so he's like, well, give me, we kind of discuss things, not anything concrete, but he's like, give me a number. I talked to our board of directors, and
give me a number. I like
they
that
want, my job is to get you to say yes.
$1 million.
Yeah. So he goes, my job is to get you to say yes. What, give me a number. And I had not really completely thought about it. And I did. I gave him a number because he wanted to know, like, ballpark what I made. I said, Tom, I ran multiple units in retail. Yeah. You're not going to compete with that. But I'm not looking for the money. I'm looking for a home. Yeah. And so we discussed what could be. And he said, okay. And he says, yes, that number sounds like something we can do. And so he says, do you have any questions for me? And this is where Pastor Leon's voice, he's sitting on my shoulder. Yeah. Tom goes, do you have any questions for me? I'm like, yeah, 2. What am I going to be doing? And what's my title? And I'm not a title person. Right. Titles don't really mean anything to me. I really wanted to, like, what did I sign up for? And this is what Tom says to me. Now, he's not said this before. I've not heard him say this before or after. But he leans in and he says, let's walk in faith.
I like that.
And I immediately thought, I'm home. I'm home. So that's how I ended up being staff at the chamber. So I never made it to be chair of greeters. Yeah. I only made it to vice chair, and I kind of joke about that. And so sometimes when we do introductions for new members, I say, well, I got to be vice chair and I never got to be chair, but I won the lottery and became staff.
Yeah, that's right.
And so I've been there. My first day was Halloween of 22. Yeah. And lo and behold, Christy Pipper had given her notice. And what was her job? Accounting. What does Jackie not like? Numbers. Accounting. And Tom and I discussed, and I had met with the Budget and Finance Committee, and Christy decided to stay a month, gave me a month of training. And Kathy Gordon, one of our past presidents, she and Eric Templeton from Merit Title. Yeah. There's been so many mentors I've had and just teaching me. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm willing.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And
so you kind of dove in to those numbers that you don't like, and you're all in.
Yeah, so I've been doing the books for the chamber. I mean, I do other things.
Yeah.
But the books for the chamber for the 3 years I've been there.
Yeah.
My first year was a struggle, and I don't like Excel, and I still struggle to a point. But I've been offered a lot of accounting jobs, which is funny to me.
Yeah.
Because how did that happen?
Yeah.
Well, I know how that happened. There's a divine intervention that took me where I need to be. And then that goes back also to, being emotional, crying, going back to my dad's, like, don't show weakness. I told my story about my brother at a greeters for Salem Capitals. Jason asked me to talk about why the Capitals are important to me. And so, it goes back to having the faith and diving into the faith and not saying no to God. We don't have the I don't feel I have the luxury to say no to God. So when God puts me on a path, I'm going to dive in. And so, it's just been an interesting journey. One thing that was important to me that I told Tom was, if I'm going to be in the office 40 hours a week, I'm not going to last. And technically that's what Christy did. She was in the office 40 hours a week, doing the accounting. That is a 40-hour-a-week job. But I wanted to do more. I wanted to be with the people. I wanted to be with the community and make connections. And what can I do? What impact can I have? So that's why, to me, Director of Operations is a great title, because it covers so many things. I'm in charge of graders. I'm in charge of Chamber Businesswomen. I did the Green Chair Chronicles. I'm out in the community meeting folks. And I still do the books for the Chamber. And just in the last year, we now have a partner with Ascension Accounting. And so I do the daily, they did that end of month, and they do our payroll. So that took some off my plate so that I can spend more time in doing what I love doing.
Yeah.
And Tom has been so gracious. He gives me the opportunity to do what you want, have fun. And it's been, my first year with the Chamber was very challenging because I prayed a lot.
Yeah.
Those numbers meant nothing to me. And like I said, it's been through mentorship and me being willing to be humble and say, I don't know what I'm doing, but at least I try. And Tom says, we failed forward.
Yep.
And, if there were a few times that I went to him and I go, I'm not going to have the reports ready. I don't know how to do this. He goes, it's okay. We'll figure it out. And that's where my mentorships come in with Kathy, and Eric, and like the whole budget and finance team. Our board team is super supportive, every single one of them. But our budget and finance team, I thank them for supporting me, because they could have said, what, that's not the right person for this job.
Right.
All of them could have said that.
Yeah.
And I've never have felt that. I've always felt like, it's okay. We'll help you get there. And so Ryan Dempster is our treasurer now.
Yep.
And one thing that he and I talked about when he became treasurer is, at every budget and finance committee meeting, I submit the reports and the treasurer does all the talking. And I was like, but I'm the one that's doing the books. So we start, he allows me to go ahead and I say aloud because he's gracious.
Yeah.
He says, go ahead. And so first few minutes, this is what the numbers show and this is what we're doing. And this is why we overspend. This is why we underspend, or whatever that looks like. And then I turn it over to him. And, there's been times when I've gotten behind because I have a heavy workload. Man. And he's like, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. I've never had this is not okay, or you need to step up. I've never had that. I've always had it's okay.
It's okay.
We're not doing heart surgery.
Right. Yeah. And nobody's died, right?
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like, you have the dream job. You did all these other jobs, but now you have the one. Yeah. It feels like you really love and you're really grateful to work with Tom and for the chamber, and you love the people.
Absolutely.
Your community all the way.
All the way. I love my team. I have so much freedom with Tom. Just lets me do. Yeah. I come up with some crazy ideas. He just smiles at me. He just smiles at me. Okay. Or I'll come in and say, well, I bought this, but this is why. And he goes, okay.
What's the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning? When you think of all the stuff that you do, what's the one thing that you do that you just can't wait?
I really love my job. I don't feel like I go to work. I feel like I go hang out with my friends and my family.
Every day.
every day.
And they actually paid you to do that.
And they pay me to do that.
That's crazy.
Right? Now, I'm not saying that it's easy.
Right.
I'm not saying that we don't have those moments, and I'm not saying that we don't get frustrated, because we reach those frustration points.
Yeah.
But when I wake up every morning, I'm thankful that I woke up.
Yeah.
Because I think back of my brother didn't have that chance. And so I get that opportunity to wake up and see what's waiting for me.
You took some pain and you turned it into your source of gratitude. Yeah. I get to, my brother doesn't. And what a way to honor him. You loved him.
Yeah.
You prayed for him.
Yeah.
Mom, Dad.
Yeah.
We want a little brother. And
yeah.
Wow, what a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Jackie, you're so nice.
Thank you.
Your heart is just, you're in the right role. And the Tom lets you just kind of do what it is you do, the way you want to do it.
Yeah.
And that's really important. Yeah. Well, as we wrap up this podcast, I think we're pretty close here. What do you want to leave the audience with? What's important? Do you want them to invite you, come to the Green Chair, or grab a coffee, or join the chamber, or what events are coming up right now for the chamber?
Absolutely. Yeah. Just
talk about that just for a moment.
Yeah.
We'll wrap up on that.
Yeah. So Ag Business Banquet is coming up. We're close to selling out. It's next Friday.
Okay.
It's Boots and Jeans and a fun event.
Yeah.
Our forum speaker series is every month. Go to our calendar and see if you have any questions. You can email me at jackie@salemchamber.org.
Okay.
We have two Jackies in the office, so I'm the OG.
OG.
But it's jackie@salemchamber.org.
Okay.
I'd love to connect and have coffee. I'd love to, invite you to the Green Chair, and whether it be just in my office, one-on-one, at Isaac's, or at the social. I don't exclude people who are not members.
Yeah.
Our Chamber of Business women, I'm extremely proud. We're been selling out at 110.
Wow.
110 sold out. So our January 1 selling out. But Bonnie Milletto is our keynote speaker for February. So please go
That's for the women's event.
For the women's Chamber of Business women.
Yeah, that's a must go to.
That is a must go to. So go to that. And she's extremely inspiring. I hope to be as inspiring one day as Bonnie is.
Yeah.
I hope to.
Well, here's the deal. Your heart is pure. It's right. It's like you want to do the right thing.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
Man, just keep doing what you're doing. So
thank you.
Well, I really appreciate you being here. I'm really thankful that Bonnie connected us. And Bonnie's done that a few times where, hey, buddy, you must have this person on your podcast. And I love that she connected us. So I'm really grateful for that. Well, hey, we're thankful for you. You listen each week. Definitely get involved with the chamber. I'm going to put Jackie's information in the show notes, her email, maybe her phone number, and we'll get you connected. And the women's event's coming up in February. Bonnie Milletto is a keynote speaker. That's a must go to. So I'm kind of jealous I can't go to that one. But anyway, we appreciate you. If you ever want to be on the podcast or know somebody that does, we'd love to have you on here. Reach out to me. My information is in the show notes as well. Like Jackie, I love to have coffee and meet people in our community. So, well, we really appreciate you. Jackie, once again, thank you so much for being here. And maybe we'll do this again. What do you think?
Absolutely. I'd love to.
I mean, I think
this went really quick.
I know. It's over an hour, and we could probably go for another hour, I'll bet you.
Probably.
So let's do this again. I want to know more about the chamber, what's going on, and how you guys are involved in the community. Tom's. Yeah. I went to the forum this last week, the mayor debate. And so that was really good. But thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week. Thank you.